Good morning, Ryan. It's nice to be here. My name's Graham Innes. I am a director of Let's Network, and I've been running Let's Network since 2013. Let's Network is a networking organisation which is primarily based in Scotland. We have 5 venues throughout Scotland, currently Dundee, Stirling, Perth, Inverness, Aberdeen to launch in January of next year, and Copenhagen, which is our European base and has been going since October of 2014. So the networking opportunities that are out there are quite wide-ranging, and Let's Network has been designed to give people the opportunity to network in an informal arena where they can come along, they can spend a small amount of money, and they can network with people who will be a cross-section of local businesses, larger businesses, etc. There are 5 top tips that I tend to give for people who are coming to networking, and these are things that I've learned through doing a lot of networking myself throughout the years. Tip number 1 for networking is be prepared. There are many people who come to networking events who possibly haven't quite prepared themselves for the type of event that they're going to, and by that I mean it can be simply forgetting their business cards, maybe not just putting themselves out there to look their best. They don't have to dress fully, they don't have to be suit and tied, but they can always be there in a way that presents themselves nicely, particularly if it's maybe one of the first times that they've been networking. So always be prepared, think about your travelling time, think about the venue, think about how and when the event starts. Tip number 2 is don't sell. The one thing that I can't stress strongly enough when you go to networking events is not to make the mistake of trying to sell. If you try and sell, immediately you will turn people off and you'll make people think that you're only there for one purpose only. Tip number 3 is ask open questions where at all possible. And when I mean open questions, what I'm referring to there are things that can help you to find out more about the person. And by finding out more about the person, that gives you the opportunity to know more about them, to understand more about them, then to understand more about why they might be in business doing what they do, and why they can help you and you can help them. So questions which might start, as you're probably aware, with who, what, when, why, where, these sort of things. Tell me about yourself. Those sorts of things are really useful for people to get the chance to speak to you and not for you to be dominating the conversation. So always think to use open questions and find out about the person that you're actually talking to. Tip number 4, always see networking and networking opportunities as equally as important as having appointments in your diary for clients that you might be going to see. There are times in business, and I've found this and we've found this in our business, that you won't always have a full diary, you won't always have appointments all week. You might be thinking, I'm not going to be able to fill the week by having all of these appointments that I need to have. But what you should do is you should look around on Google and on Eventbrite and some of the event platforms throughout Scotland and beyond and pick up on networking events that might be available to you. One of the things that I would stress is there are a lot of online networking events now which are available to people who can get online in the comfort of their own home, and they can network just as they would do if they went to a venue. So always look to see if there's a networking event in your area and see networking as possibly one of the most important appointments in your diary that week. You don't know who you're going to meet. Tip number 5 is don't forget to follow up and make sure that you consider networking as one of the most important appointments that could be in your diary that week. One of the biggest mistakes that people make when they go to networking events is they do the hard work. They ask open questions, they speak to people, they make connections, and at some point they might exchange a business card. Exchanging a business card now is important, it is vitally important, but probably more important if you consider what follow-up activities take place. And I know from experience that there are umpteen businesses who will go away from networking events with a pile of business cards and no thought as to how they're going to actively and comprehensively follow up those connections that they've made. So the best piece of advice I can give through experience is that when you receive a business card, if you've asked for one, or if you give a business card, then make sure that you ask the person that you're talking to, is it okay to connect with you on your LinkedIn profile or any of your social media profiles, because nowadays most businesses will have some sort of social media presence, and by connecting with them in social media, it's a great way of being able to make an engaging conversation happen rather than just sending one of those rather bland follow-up emails, which we've all had and we might have even sent throughout the course of our networking experience. So by connecting and asking to connect on social media, or asking the person, is it okay if I add you to my database? Then at least you're giving them the chance to think, yes, that's a solid connection that I've made. It's someone I can go back to and perhaps fix up an appointment for a cup of coffee or something like that. So lots of networking ideas out there. There are many more than the 5 or so that I've just talked about this morning. I think it's important that networking is seen as something that everybody can get some benefit from, but only if you look at networking as another avenue that you should consider doing effectively, doing regularly, and getting the most from, and most of all, enjoying it.